He had a 3-run homer in the
I'm
bottom of the
flashing the
first.
W because we got the W today. So
Oh,
we
we just
won we just won 4-3. I'm trying to listen to you and watch.
Oh my God, yes. So should we recap the Astros series too?
Well,
Just
we're not
kidding.
done with that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean we got a series win, so the
Yeah.
Cubs
That's
both.
big. Big, 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 I think.
1-2. Swinging a drive toward right center. Back goes Robert. Back near the stands. That ball is gone. A game-winning home run for Chris Morel. Can you believe it? Listen to this crowd.
Welcome back to the Brotherly Cubs podcast. I'm Zach, and this is my older brother John. We are your brothers who love everything Cubs baseball. If you enjoy talking about the Cubs, then hit the subscribe button, turn on the notifications, and join us every week as we dive into the power, the speed, and the best team in the National League. We like to start off each podcast with a playful question for all 64 of our subscribers. Feel free to put your answer in the comments below. Today, John, I ask you, if the Cubs were stranded in the wilderness, which player would be most likely to survive the longest?
Having grown up in North Dakota, there's tons of blizzards and things like that. I was thinking about who is the closest to North Dakota, Minnesota area, and that would be Micheal Busch.
Damn it.
So,
That's my answer.
yeah, I mean, I tried to look at the guys that have grown, some kind of beards,
Mhm.
the big bushy beards that kind of look like burly guys that could withstand some cold temperatures, but I don't see any guys on our roster that are really doing that. Maybe Keegan
Talkman
Thompson.
Talkman is from Chicago.
Thompson's getting a little
Talkman.
Talkman, yeah.
Talkman is from Chicago.
Yeah,
So
Palpatine, Chicago, I think, right?
Palatine.
Palatine, close enough.
Oh, they're gonna own you once they hear
They
that
are.
now.
Yeah,
All
whoever
64 of our
all
subscribers are
64.
they're gonna come after you, man.
Yeah.
All three of them from Illinois. No.
Yeah.
I would go with Bush. Talkman is from the cold as well.
Hmm.
Dansby seems like, also don't sleep on people from the South. They know a lot about guns and hunting and fishing and
That's
stuff
true.
like that. So I'm going to go also with the honorable mention to Dansby Swanson. His name's Dansby. I feel like he grew up on a farm. I think he's from Atlanta, but
He could be useful in a time of need. Also Ian Happ is from Pittsburgh, one of the coldest cities, so that
I
could be
like it.
useful.
He's an
Just go.
entrepreneur. He has his own coffee business. I mean,
Yeah, I
he
heard
knows how
about
to make
that. Yeah.
money. I need to get some of that. Connect Roasters, please sponsor us and give us money for saying your name.
There you go. Let's move on to the latest news surrounding the Cubs. We have Cody Bellinger just sustained two fractured ribs, I think, two broken ribs. And PCA was subsequently called up from Iowa. He's absolutely tearing the cover off the ball, right? So he definitely earned that. Yikes. No, he's not. He's batting barely, I think, what above the Meridian? They call it Meridian line or something like that.
Mendoza.
Oh yeah, Meridian Mendoza, something like that. Um, so he's not one that I would really assume that they would call up. I mean, I was thinking about this, like, why are they calling up people like Canario? Why are they calling up PCA and they're not calling
Well,
up Owen Casey? But I think
Owen,
there's a reason behind this.
I mean, Owen Casey's not on the 40-man roster, so that's like
That's
you got to
true.
DFA somebody. PCA and Canario are both on the 40-man. So is Matt Mervis.
Yeah,
So those guys are all like readily available. Just a simple transactional move to get
right.
him up. So
That's true. All right. Well, you answered my question real quick. In other news surrounding the Cubs, they DFA'd Garrett Cooper. That was kind of a bummer, and they placed Hendricks, so Kyle Hendricks and Drew Smiley on the 15-day DL, or the IL. Hendricks has a back issue, quote unquote, phantom IL
yep.
type of thing, and Drew Smiley has a hip impingement. That was really concerning. I mean, he's a quality lefty. He's not like a shut him down lefty out of the bullpen, but I mean,
Yeah.
he's an option, and now they don't have him. So that's a little bit concerning. Zach, what are your thoughts on the Cubs with all these injuries kind of piling up? They haven't all happened at once. I'll kind of get to that later on, but what are your thoughts about the
Yeah,
Cubs?
let me close the loop on a couple of those. So Luke Little came up for essentially Smiley, like as a lefty in the bullpen.
Right.
Wisniewski pretty much came up for Hendricks as like either a long man or fill a couple spots before Steele comes back, and then Mervis is going to replace Cooper. Uh, for I guess these all happen on the same day. Like we're recording on a Wednesday. These happened yesterday at the same time. It's just massive. I don't think I've ever seen three players recall from Iowa at the same time. I mean, I thought I was shocked when Colton Brewer, who sounds like a made up name, like that auto generates from the show.
Have,
Uh,
have you ever
yeah,
seen that? Like, if what's your rap name? That's
yeah,
how that's how Post Malone got his
right.
rap name.
I always forget that. That's really funny.
Shout out to Austin Malone. Yeah,
What is he like? He's like the post Carl Malone era. It's like it barely makes sense.
it doesn't make
It's
yeah.
like Kevin Garnett is a post Malone. So the biggest thing for me is the Garrett Cooper thing was shocking. I was like, are you serious?
Yeah.
Garrett Cooper was pretty good. He wasn't like destroying the ball, but he had a
Mm-hmm.
homer, six ribbies. I looked, our previous show notes had him at like a thousand or 900 OPS. I think he was around 800 still.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I think the thing was he and Patrick Wisdom overlap each other, and Cooper was in there when Wisdom was out. Now Wisdom's back up, and either Cooper didn't have options and you couldn't send him down, or it was like maybe they had some kind of deal like, okay, you DFA me, and either A, we can try and squeeze you through the waivers and you come back and you can be optioned this year, or B, he was like, oh, I want to play with the Red Sox. Uh, I don't know. I don't know if there's tampering. DFA me, and maybe there's a trade we can make. I don't know. That thing was a little shocking. It's like you just lost him for the whole season. He's a good hitter. He might even be a better hitter than Wisdom. Uh, that was
Mm-hmm.
shocking, but Mervis coming up, I mean, he had a really solid start of the year. So he's going to get opportunities. He's been really good at AAA. And then Wisniewski, not shocking, he got called up. The Smiley thing kind of sucks. I hope he's back pretty quickly because we discussed, or as you mentioned, he's really good or has had a decent year so far. He's not like lighting the world on fire, but he's good. And the
Mm-hmm.
Hendricks, I'm not way out of my world surprised here. I'm a little surprised it's this early. I kind of thought it would happen when Steele comes back from his hamstring injury on the injured list, which is going to be early May. I thought they'll give Kyle, I mean, even the media was sort of running with, look at Mooney and Sharma from the Athletic. They both kind of made it sound like they're going to give him some runway. And they maybe don't know maybe they're not always plugged in because the Phantom IL happened as soon as the Marlins series. I think you and I were both discussing like this is it because we were shocked he even made it to the Marlins series and he didn't pitch terribly, but it was 4 runs and 4 innings, so that was it for him. And I think this is a good move. I mean, I'm proud of this organization for hiding players on the Phantom Ghost injured list. Marcus Stroman was on it last year. It's a
Right.
little embarrassing to be put on the Phantom IL, but we talked about this. You and I predicted this. This had to happen, right?
Yeah. Um, someone else was talking about this. I don't know who, but can teams get in trouble for that? Do you know?
Yes,
If
so
it's
the
okay.
Mets did last year.
Yeah, that's who it was.
But again, the Cubs just you have to hide the evidence in I don't really know how to necessarily if you go for imaging, that's probably why they chose back, right? It's like, oh, well, maybe I didn't need imaging, but the back can take a long time to heal.
That's
There's
interesting.
all kinds of crap that goes on in the back.
You want to
So,
keep him, you want to, he's a really important part of your organization
right.
culturally.
Uh,
It's
it,
just a tough issue. I think a lot of people want to extend the leash pretty long for him and understand that, is he going to regress to the mean? Maybe eventually, but it's hard to wait that long and see results that you're waiting for,
yeah,
that you want to wait for. And yeah, like you said, I'm proud of the organization too, for them being proactive and just kind of acting on it. I mean, like you said, it's a shame that it was this early,
yeah.
and you'd like to see it, when Steele comes back. But um, kind of going back on, Justin Steele and all these injuries that have happened, you were pretty pissed off about the news surrounding Cody Bellinger and again
Yeah.
another injury. It's just, the
Oh my
outfield has had
God,
what,
dude.
three? Ian Happ's been injured at
Well,
some point, minorly, not majorly, but I mean, Seiya
mhm.
Suzuki, his oblique, and
Yeah.
now Cody Bellinger. Am I missing anybody from the outfield core? I
I
feel
mean,
like,
give it 3 games and PCA is going to crash to the wall and fracture
yeah,
his skull. That guy
that
is
brick
reckless out
wall.
there.
I think you got to be more aware too, right? Of where you're at
The
in the
ivy's got to grow
outfield.
in. The ivy has to
Yeah,
grow in order for you to jump into the
to do
ivy.
that. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
there's a brick wall
stop, get
behind
off,
it.
get off the weed, Cody. Good. I don't
Well,
know.
this is
It's frustrating. I mean, it's part of, Wrigley Field, and it's just unfortunate. I mean, like you said, hopefully PCA doesn't try and like jump through the wall and
yeah.
catch a ball. I mean, we have the outfield depth. I mean, I really don't want to test it that much, but um, it's just unfortunate. I'm more optimistic, I think, of all the injuries that are happening right now because they're not all happening at once, which is really catastrophic if it was all at once, like literally 4 or 5 players. We did have what, two? Was it two or three that happened in one day?
I mean,
Two, I
it's
guess.
been quite a bit
It's
though.
just
I
it's
mean,
just piling up. Yeah. Well, my point is that I was going to get to is just that Steele will be back in
right. Couple
maybe a
weeks.
couple weeks or so. Yeah. So
Maybe less than that. Yeah. I
maybe less
mean,
than that. Yeah, depending on how his rehab goes and
yeah.
a rehab starts. So I mean, he's getting close. He's getting close. I don't think our issue is a whole lot of starting pitching. I mean, Tyon's back now.
He's
He,
back. Yes.
he's
Yes,
pitched
he is.
extremely well. I mean, checking in on that game, kind of scared to look,
He
but
pitched the game today.
top of the
Yeah.
ninth. So it's top of the ninth. We're only up by 1 run.
Oh, well, though, yeah, Neris just gave a homer to Altuve.
Okay,
Neris is
so
closing. Wow, what a move.
yeah, so we'll see how that ends. Does he have an out? He doesn't have one out. Yeah. So
Might be
tough.
a
That's
bold move
tough.
there.
Tough part of the order he's going through too. But I mean, um, yeah, we'll see. We'll see how he does. But just trying not to watch it. Um, I was just kind of mentioning, Justin Steele, he'll be coming back soon. Seiya Suzuki, I'm not sure. Have you heard
I mean,
anything?
we still got like at least a
He's
couple
probably got at
weeks
least a
for him.
few, yeah, a few more weeks, maybe at the most.
Yeah,
So, but again, our outfield, Tauchman stepped up. He had 2 homers the other day. So
right.
we have the pieces to back up the injuries. It's just, you hate to see them kind of pile up this early. Um, and then who else is missing that we mentioned?
The whole team. I mean,
The
Merriweather,
whole team. Oh, yeah, Merriweather
Suzuki.
too. Yeah. Yeah,
Luckily,
so we mentioned, yeah, Suzuki and Steele and Merriweather. I mean, that's really the big backbreaking thing I think for us right now is the bullpen because that's been a huge issue and
I don't
trying to
know,
make the
man.
right
I mean,
moves.
I feel like losing. Like I know we had Morel start the season off really good. He's been a massive slump.
Hmm.
Bush had a massive, insane like 5 game run here. He's in a little bit of a minor slump. He's going to come out of it.
Yeah.
And I know Morel and Bush will both come out of this, but you've got a couple slumps followed by what was your best hitter, Seiya Suzuki, went down with a 1 month long injury. Then Bellinger went on an 8 game hitting streak. He had a home run. Now he's up to 5 home runs. He was in a slump to start the year. He came out of the slump, right? He came out of a slump and was on fire. He was destroying the ball recently, like barreling it up, homers, ribbies, everything. So you got 2 guys who light the world on fire and then both hit the injured
Hmm.
list for
Right.
a month. It's like
Yeah.
it's shocking
That's
to have both essentially your 2 and 3, your number
yeah.
2 and 3 in the order, basically your best hitters going on the injury list. And Hap was out for a couple days. Luckily, it was minor. Like we really dodged a bullet with that one
Hmm.
because it's pretty rare to have your entire outfield be out at the same time. Uh, and then, Merriweather's like a longer term injury that does hurt us. But it's really good to have Tyone back, even if he's not like some shutdown pitcher,
Hmm.
because he's going to at least stabilize the bullpen. And then when Steele comes back, I mean, from the pitching standpoint, if they can get healthy after Steele and stay relatively healthy, I mean, the Hendricks thing, I don't necessarily count that. I'm like, that's a phantom thing. Just
Hmm.
he was really bad. It basically counts as an injury in a way, but it's like underperformance. And Smiley, it depends on how serious that is. Uh, that doesn't hurt us tremendously. Like that's just one of those injuries you can get through, especially with Luke Little coming up. Like that, you
Right.
have depth. You're not going to be just pissed off about losing Smiley, but
Yeah.
to me, losing Bellinger with a broken rib, and then at the same time, you've already called up Alexander Canario for
Right.
Suzuki.
He just looks funny. He looks funny when he's in the outfield and any wind, I swear, like if there's maybe 15 gusts of 15 or 10 miles an hour, I feel like the wind will throw him off in Chicago. I feel like the way that he's approaching the path to the ball in the outfield is just it's very
Yeah,
shaky. It's
I
just
mean,
does not it
I
looks like he struggles to track the ball sometimes.
yeah, and one player who won't struggle to track the ball, hopefully, will be PCA
Right.
plus
Yeah.
defender plus speed. They're going to sub him in defensively late in games, and the biggest thing is can he hit? He had like something like a 600 OPS his first few weeks here in AAA. That's obviously really bad, especially from the leadoff role in AAA. He's probably going to bat ninth for the Cubs when he does bat and avoid
Hmm.
all lefties. His big thing is he does still swing and miss, but I think they're just hoping to weather the storm here a little bit. Talkman's going to get a ton of play. Uh, the Cubs beat the Astros yesterday, 7-2. Talkman homered twice. So he had a 3-run homer in the
I'm
bottom of the
flashing the
first.
W because we got the W today, so
Oh,
we
we just
won we just won 4-3. I'm trying to listen to you and watch.
Oh my God, yes. So should we recap the Astros series too?
Well,
Just
we're not
kidding.
done with that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean we got a series win, so the
Yeah.
Cubs
That's
both.
big. Big, 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 I think.
Oh yeah. So now we're 15-9. So I was gonna go through our scripted notes. I can't believe all the freaking changes I've had to make to the script here. I had to make the change to the Bellinger broken ribs. The
Right.
man got an X-ray yesterday, and then all of a
And it
sudden he
was
gets a
negative.
CT scan, and it said X-ray broke no negative for broken bones, and a
Right.
CT scan. And all of a sudden now he's got a. You got to be kidding me. So I have
Yeah.
to add that in here, and now we're adding. I get to luckily add that we're 15-9.
Right.
And again, the disappointing thing this last week was that the Cubs had a postponed game, even after they played in rain and 30-degree weather against the Rockies at Wrigley.
Yeah.
So they
The
postponed a
Dodger game, I
game.
think, was rough too, right?
Yeah, the Cubs have played in some just terrible games in April. It's so hard to play at
Yeah.
Wrigley in April.
It's pretty
And
cold.
yeah, and they postponed this game.
Yeah.
So everyone knows when you play a doubleheader and you're playing a bad team, it's bad, right? You almost
Yeah.
want to play a doubleheader against a good team because you're going to split that doubleheader most of the time.
Right.
So that did not help the Cubs. Another thing that did not help the Cubs was Kyle Hendricks pitching in the series. But to recap the series, obviously a 2-2 split. We beat AJ. Is it Puck? It's
Puck,
AJ
yeah.
Puck, yeah.
Yeah.
In
Puck.
Tyone's season debut, 8-3. They let get the walks going. They were slugging. They had a really tremendous outing against him and gave Tyone the support. Then they lost 2-3 against Jesus Luzardo. He's a
Hmm.
tremendous pitcher. He's now their number one with Alcantara and Yuri Perez out. The Adbert Alzolay blew a save in that game, so that's what made us lose that in the ninth inning, a 2-1 lead. Then we win the next game 5-3 with Imanaga on the mound against like a AAA type pitcher for the Marlins they just brought up. Imanaga was carried the team. He's tremendous. He is having a ridiculously good season so far. He and Micheal Busch are up there in Rookie of the Year. Shota might be our
Hmm.
30-year-old Rookie of the Year. Uh, Dennis Quaid, Shota, Dennis Quaid, and Manaka.
They're up there, yeah.
But
Or he's up there. Dennis Quaid, shout out. Shout
uh,
out to all the Dennis Quaid
he was
lovers.
like 40, okay?
Yeah,
uh,
that was pretty impressive.
Shout out the Tampa Bay Rays for giving Dennis Quaid a chance.
Yes.
Tampa Bay Devil Rays. So, and then they lost the series finale because Kyle Hendricks was facing Edward Cabrera, and Edward Cabrera is a good pitcher. We battled
Yeah.
him okay, but it's also Kyle Hendricks in 2024, and he pitched terribly. I was gonna pull up, some additional stuff behind it. It was a 3-6 loss, and it was
Yeah.
heartbreaking because that should have been a 3-1 series win. But again, that's the thing here is you try and hang in there, and it's almost like, what can you do to a certain extent, right? You're facing a tough pitcher already. You get a few runs, you're even happy with that. But, Hendricks leaves the game and it's 4-3. And our bullpen didn't do us any favors. They didn't blow up, but we just couldn't get anything going after
Yeah.
the fourth inning there. And so even though they had 8 hits, they left a lot of guys on base. And so uh take the series split there and you're just not happy about it because the Marlins are not good. They don't have a good record. The
Right.
Astros do not have a good record. They are 7-18 now, but they have a ridiculously stacked lineup, and Justin Verlander is pitching tomorrow. So the Cubs secure a series win against the freaking Houston Astros. I don't think I've ever said that in the last 8 years of my life, since before that, maybe 10, 11 years
It's
since
been a
before.
while. Yeah.
Since before they went to the AL West from the NL Central,
Yeah.
the 6-team NL Central. Uh, geez. So 7-2 was the first one we talked about. Talkman. Wicks
Yeah.
threw 6 strong innings, giving up 2 runs against. Apparently, the Astros are third in the entire major league against facing lefties. So that was incredible, right?
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and
Good
then
stat.
yeah, I mean, that's the fact that he overcame that. And then if you look at the box behind that, I know Ben Brown pitched in relief. We're all kind of like not shaking our heads, but
One
surprising,
inning.
right? Yeah, one
Yeah,
inning relief. It's a little puzzling, I guess.
yeah. Yeah, I'm kind of wondering what the motivation is there. I mean, you kind of like him in a long relief type of role, at least. I mean, he's a good starter for us. I think we just have, Tyone coming back, and then of course eventually Steele's coming back. I mean, which is great, right? I mean, that just kind
Yeah.
of shows the depth of our pitching staff. And you mentioned Verlander's going tomorrow versus Javier Assad.
Yes.
Um, the ass man, as I know at least Cody Delmendo calls him, or maybe other people as well. But I think we have, and I mentioned this to you, we have a great chance to even take that game, right? I would bet, hopefully Assad could go at least, 5, probably 6 innings in that game if he's kind of cruising.
Yeah. That's
Don't
a
want to,
tough matchup
jump
though,
to
still.
conclusions. Yeah,
It's
it's a
it's
tough,
better than like Hendricks facing Cabrera, where you just go David versus Goliath. And not that Hendricks
right?
is some kind of pitcher where we're trying to, take some, we're injured and we bring up a double-A pitcher and he's like, oh, he's terrible. We're trying to make him uh, you know, Dwayne Underwood from 2019 or Jen Ho Sang or some of these
Like,
prospects that were just like overhyped and not very good. Corey Abbott, Tyson Miller. Just really throwing back like the last 5 or 6 years of our terrible pitching prospects. The
yeah,
Cubs no longer are putting out those guys. Hendricks, it just so happens apparently has like a 5 something ERA in April, and this year it's like double that.
my
But
gosh,
now that they've made this move, you're right. I feel a little bit more confident about some of these guys we're putting out there. Assad, I do, write some stats down for our pitchers, even a small sample, 21 innings, 2.11 ERA. That's
yeah,
ridiculous. I mean, I know
that
the
is
FIP,
ridiculous.
I don't have the FIP in front of me, but he's striking out 1 per inning. Leiter is still undefeated. And by undefeated, I mean he's pitched like 12 innings and given up no runs.
Hmm. Yeah, that's
Uh, wow.
yeah,
You're right. This pitching staff has Ben Brown had I want to say he had a blow up outing on his career debut against the Rangers. And since then, like a 2 something ERA or a 1 something ERA, he has a 3.72 ERA in 19 innings. And Imanaga has a less than 1 ERA. So if you look around the board here,
yeah.
uh, Wicks has kept us in games. And if you look at everyone except Hendricks, Tyone, so far so good, 2 starts in. He's
Hmm.
looking more like second half Tyone, but still early.
Right,
Imanaga's a
right.
stud. Leiter seems like the best guy in the bullpen. We need another version of Mark Leiter Jr., honestly.
Somewhere, yeah.
Somewhere.
So just kind of going back real quick, Zach. Sorry, I just didn't mean to cut you off. I was going to mention his FIP. Assad's FIP is 3.67.
Wow, that's a
So
massive jump.
yeah, and then his K percentage is 25%, which is
That's good, yeah.
pretty good. And then ground ball
Wow.
rate is 34.6.
Huh.
So it's getting a lot of ground balls.
Yeah, I mean, it's certainly sometimes you see in the 40 to 50 percent range, but Yeah, that's
Oh, okay.
solid.
I actually thought that was good.
It's
Like
it's
that's
it's like
incredible.
mediocre. Yeah, it's
Okay.
pretty good. I
Okay.
think that's like right around average-ish.
Yeah.
I have seen some guys have 50% ground ball rate, which is really good.
That is, yeah.
Uh, I in Imanaga, he probably has a very low ground ball rate because
Yeah.
he's a fly ball pitcher.
Right, right.
Um, you'd like to see Brown get that ground ball rate up
Yeah.
because he's a pitcher that strikes out a lot of guys, but he is susceptible to hard contact sometimes. Uh, but I'm curious, who do you think will take Kyle Hendricks' next start? Do you think that'll be Ben Brown or Hayden Wesneski?
Hmm. I mean, judging, I guess they could throw Ben Brown out there as if he barely threw what, 1 inning
He only threw
last.
one inning, yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, it's puzzling how they used him. I mean, maybe if they just don't trust a whole lot of people right now, you know. It's kind of like who's inside that, inner circle of trust.
Yeah.
Wisniewski, I'm still I'm still not fully sold on Wisniewski. I
I
mean,
understand that,
I'm
yeah.
hoping I'm hoping he does great. Obviously, it's just the lefties, man. I guess it could depend on how many lefties are in that lineup when
Right?
Hendricks is supposed to start. So what game would that be?
Oh man, I need to
Just some research on
dial back a little bit and see. I'm sure it would be, well, I mean, Hendricks skipped this series, so it's got to be the Red Sox,
it's
right?
Boston, yeah.
And off the top of my head, I think they have a few lefties. They obviously have
Hmm.
Rafael Devers, so he'd be pretty nervous about Wisniewski facing one of the best lefties in the game.
He has a little bit of, experience starting, a little bit more experience than Ben Brown. I think Ben Brown is ready though. I mean, he's shown a lot of maturity for how
I,
old he is.
yeah,
I think he can honestly excel in almost any role. Maybe not closer. A lot of people are really clamoring for him to be, a closer right now because we don't have a lockdown closer. But
shoot, yeah, I know what you mean. We
I
really
don't know.
freaking need one.
Yeah. I don't know. I
What about
I would
a
prefer they go. I would prefer they go Ben Brown.
what about a
But
Brown Wisniewski piggyback situation if Brown can only get you 4 innings
yeah,
and
yeah,
maybe
that's
Wisniewski
possible.
faces like a couple innings of righties in a row or something to that, I don't
Yeah,
know.
I think it would, and it could also depend on how many if they have off days,
They don't have
in
any
between.
off days
Oh yeah,
until
that's right. They
like
play like
2
16
weeks from now.
straight.
Yeah. It's
Yeah, I don't
nasty.
know. I mean, maybe they want to just see, that's a good idea. Wisniewski and then Brown. Wisniewski starts and then see where how far can Brown take you? What has Brown done for you?
What can
No,
Brown
that's
do for
what
you?
can Brown do for you?
So far we have Bad Benny uh as one of his nicknames instead of Bad Bunny. And he also has a pet rabbit, so I think that's like a really good one.
Oh
And
yeah,
then
I do like that one.
What can Ben Brown do for you? And there's also Big Ben, which is like the
Ooh,
Ben Roethlisberger, but he's like
yeah,
six
that's true.
five, 6'6". Uh I like Bad Benny though. Uh
Bad Benny is pretty good. Yeah,
dude, he's sick
that's a
though.
good one.
He's really good.
I'm happy that he's just healthy, man. Honestly, like
Yeah.
truthfully, not lying to anybody out here. I just, it's been, I think was it last year that he
Last
missed a
year.
good, yeah. He missed a good chunk of time. So I mean, just to see him healthy and out there succeeding, obviously he had what, 1 or 2 innings. I think it was like 1 inning versus the Rangers. That wasn't great, but that's it. I mean, really,
Yeah. And that's
I
a really good
think,
offense.
yeah, exactly. They were on fire.
Yeah.
Um, and so, I mean, I really am hoping that he can somehow find a way to impact this club continually, like going forward, and they don't send him back down. I think they realize how impactful he is and how good of a pitcher he is at this level already. So hopefully they can keep him up and use him in some way to help us win ball games. What are your thoughts, Zach? I'm just kind of curious. This was in my brain kind of as we were starting the podcast. What are your thoughts on what we need to do going forward to survive this next month or so,
Mhm.
um, in terms of battling through these injuries?
Oh, I've been asking myself that question even before Seiya, even when Seiya was out, and now it's like
Mhm.
now that Bellinger's out, it's pretty a little bit stressful, like as a fan of a sports team when they're under this much pressure. I would say to weather the storm. Again, like Morel and Busch. Busch needs to go back, kind of get back on his, get back on a roll again, right? You've seen Horner start to catch fire right as Bellinger did. Those guys both kind of did. Dansby had a 3-run homer today. Uh, you're gonna have to get contributions like even the young guys. It's gonna have to be a lot of young guys, Mervis and Canario. It's tough to
Mhm.
say because at any time you need really 3 or 4 guys just click in to get your offense going. So really, the veterans, Horner and Happ, need to be getting hits and walks. And then power in terms of power, it's like it's got to be Morel and Busch.
Right.
Uh, and then the young guys have got to kind of filter in. But what really will help you in a time like this where there's just injuries and challenges facing your team is winning, you know, momentum beating a good team, that feeling, but and also grinding out a close win can be really, the offense is not going to give you 9 runs, but you
Exactly.
go out there, the starting pitcher does well, and you piece your bullpen together. The Cubs are going to need to piece their bullpen together, regardless if they score 10 runs. They already blew an 8-run and a 6-run lead this year, right?
You stole
So
the thought right out of my brain. I was just going to mention it, but keep going.
Yeah, I mean, the offense could get rolling as much as we want it to, but if someone gives you a 3-run outing as a starting pitcher and your
Yeah.
your bullpen needs to hold it together, the bullpen will always need to hold together some of these leads. Today, they held a 2-run lead, they gave up 1 run, and Leiter danced out of trouble, and they got the 4-3 win, a 1-run. That's something they've had trouble doing this year, those 1-run games. That is the enemy of the Chicago Cubs, even last year's Cubs. It's a traumatic thing for
Yeah.
Cubs fans is the 1-run game, right? I mean, we're
Right.
nervous. We think we're going to lose. We've already lost like 3 games this year. More than half our games have been blown saves that we've lost. So the bullpen, if Craig Counsell is going to have to find a way, especially when Steele gets back healthy. I would put Ben Brown in the bullpen. I would get Luke Little some more chances, see if he can stop walking guys.
Yeah.
And yeah, I don't know. I don't know what else you can do, man.
Yeah, I just was gonna say this was a signature type of win that we have needed for a while. One run ball game, bullpen, kind of closes the deal a little bit. Obviously, that homer to Altuve wasn't the greatest. It was a little minor blip in the forecast there, but I mean, otherwise, I think if our bullpen can kind of hold it together a little bit and we can win series like a few series like this, like with the Houston Astros, and like you said, Morel starts to hit a little bit better. He busts out of his slump. Maybe a little bit more timely hitting. I'd say we need to put up at least, it seems like 6 or 7 runs easily to give ourselves a chance. And hopefully our starters will continue to go, 6 strong and give us a chance. So, but like I said, this win was tremendous. We just need to keep piling them up and like people have said, we could have been like I think what 14 or 17-3 or something like that, like something wild. It's just, it's how baseball just how it goes sometimes.
Yeah.
So, anyways, that's all we that's all the time we have for today. Thanks for joining us here on the Brotherly Cubs podcast. If you have thoughts on today's podcast, comment them below, or if you have another interesting topic, let us know. Hit that subscribe button, turn on the notifications, or join the conversation with us on Twitter at Brotherly Cubs or Spotify and Apple Podcasts. I'm John. That's my brother Zach. And we will see you next week as we recap the rest of this Astros series. We have one more game tomorrow versus Justin Verlander. And then we ship out to Boston for a few games, for 3 games. And then we have the Mets as well. We have a 4-game set versus the New York Mets. So until next time, thanks for tuning in to the pod, and we will catch you later. Go Cubs.
Listen to this crowd.